A beautiful young woman is trapped in a secret live stream on the dark web. She's terrified, silent, and watched by thousands. A mysterious man with glowing green eyes and sharp fangs, Lorne, controls the feed, lurking in a shadowy warehouse. Suddenly, Marcus, a tech guy, discovers her stream and risks everything to find her. With his brave friend Jenna and Luke as backup, they break into the lair. Doors slam, lights turn red. Lorne appears. Tension explodes. Luke sacrifices himself to save them. Now they're running, hunted, while every move is broadcast live. But who's really watching, and why? You won't be able to look away. I used to think of myself as just a regular guy. Name's Marcus. I worked IT at a security firm in Oregon, had my own place, nothing fancy. My nights were mostly quiet, movies, coding, the occasional deep dive into obscure tech forums. That's how I found the link. Just a string of characters posted on a long-forgotten thread. I should have ignored it. But curiosity's a tricky thing. It didn't lead me to anything loud or obvious, just a simple site, black screen, white text, a single tab, live. When I clicked, there she was. A girl in her 20s, maybe younger, long brown hair tied back, pretty in that effortless kind of way, sitting in a plain room looking scared but unharmed. The title said, Cam number 9, Beth. The comments were flying, hundreds of users anonymous, laughing, typing commands. Some were asking her to blink twice, others were requesting her to speak. She didn't, she just sat tense. I could tell she was real, not an act. I froze. I tried backing out, but the stream locked my browser. My webcam light flickered on. That's when I knew it wasn't just her being watched. I shut down the system and disconnected everything. The next morning, I thought I dreamed it. But when I stepped out, there was a note on my windshield. 3 words, don't stop watching. My stomach dropped. I didn't tell anyone. Not Jenna, my best friend since college. Not Luke, our old neighbor who had moved into the city. I went back online, and the stream was still live. Beth looked even more tired. A bruise had formed under one eye. I typed something into the chat. Do you need help? I didn't expect an answer. But then, on screen, she nodded. It was small, subtle. A shiver ran down my spine. I tried tracing the stream, digging through the source. Dead ends. Then I found something, a tag embedded in the code. Location ping, outskirts of Spokane. I packed a bag, called Jenna and told her everything. She didn't believe me at first, but she agreed to come. Luke met us halfway. He always had a way of making sense of crazy things. We reached the address. It wasn't a house. It was an old warehouse covered in vines, windows blacked out. Quiet, too quiet. As we stepped inside, I felt it, like the air had weight. Dozens of monitors, racks of old servers, and in the center, a man. Tall, pale, wearing a tattered gray coat. His face wasn't right. His eyes glowed faint green, unnatural. His teeth were sharp, 2 long ones catching the light. He smiled, slow, as if he'd been expecting us. Jenna grabbed my arm. Beth was there too, on one of the screens. She looked up, saw us. Her lips moved. Run. But the man raised a remote. Doors slammed. Lights flickered red. His name, he never said it, but online they called him Lorne, the host, keeper of the feed. His voice was soft when he finally spoke, but it cut deep. He said we were chosen, that every guest plays their part. He turned to one of the monitors. It showed us. Live. Comments began pouring in. That was when Luke stepped up, said he'd distract him. Said we should find Beth. Jenna hesitated. I didn't. We ran. Found a back hallway. Found the room. Beth was tied to a chair, eyes wide. We got her out, found a panel leading outside. We didn't see what happened to Luke, just heard the static, then the silence. The cops never found Lorne. The place was abandoned by the time we returned. No servers, no monitors, just dust and rust. Beth is safe now. She doesn't talk much. Jenna moved away. I stay in motels now, different names, quiet towns. But some nights, when the wind dies and the screens flicker for no reason, I swear I hear it. The hum of the feed, and somewhere out there, a face like his, watching again. I hadn't slept in days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, Avery, frozen in fear, trapped behind that flickering camera. We thought it was over. That night when we got her out, when Luke held that door long enough for us to run, we thought Lorne was gone, but I was wrong. 2 nights later, I got another message. No sender, just a link. Same red icon pulsing, same background static. I didn't want to click it. My stomach turned. But I did. And there she was again, Avery. In her apartment. This time, the stream looked like a casual vlog. She didn't seem to know she was being recorded. I paused the video, then scrubbed forward. her walking to the kitchen, brushing her hair, sitting on her couch, texting. Nothing looked wrong. That's what made it worse. I called Marcus right away. He said it wasn't possible. Said the stream was coming from a private node, bouncing through hidden layers. He'd never seen anything like it. I asked if it was live. He hesitated. Somewhere between live and recorded, he said. A delay. Like someone was watching her first, then showing us. Jenna came over the next morning. She brought coffee but didn't say much, just sat next to me watching the screen. When Avery reached for her phone, Jenna whispered, "She's not alone." I replayed the moment, slower, frame by frame. There, behind her, just outside the window, a flicker of movement, a reflection, eyes, green. I could feel my heart push against my ribs. We called Avery, but her phone rang out. No voicemail, just silence. Marcus pulled up her building on satellite view, no security cameras, only one back entrance. We had to go. I didn't want to. I wasn't like Luke, but I couldn't let her vanish again. We got there just before sunset. The hallway lights buzzed, casting long shadows. Her door was unlocked. The place was quiet, too clean, like no one had lived there in weeks. Her phone was on the counter, still warm. The screen showed a timer, 29:34. We didn't know what it meant. Then we heard it, a knock, not on the door, from inside the apartment, from behind the wall. Marcus backed up. Jenna gripped my arm. I stepped forward, touched the drywall. 3 knocks, slow, steady. Then silence. The timer on Avery's phone hit 0. All the lights shut off. Marcus pulled his flashlight. The beam caught something on the floor, a pattern. Circles drawn in ash. I'd seen it before, on the wall in Lorne's warehouse. This wasn't tech. This was ritual. Suddenly the screen lit up again. Not Avery. Lorne. His face filled the frame, the same twisted grin. Fangs still sharp, eyes glowing faint red now. He didn't speak, just watched us, like he knew every move we'd made. Then the screen flickered, and Avery screamed. It came from the wall. Jenna ran to it, pressing her hands against the surface. Marcus searched for a hidden door. I just froze. Her scream wasn't just fear, it was pain, and it sounded close. Then the wall shifted, like a ripple across its surface. Jenna stepped back. The scream stopped. Avery stood there, eyes wide, pale, not breathing. Then she exhaled and looked right at me. "You left me," she said. Marcus shouted her name. Jenna cried, but I couldn't speak. Something was off. She didn't blink. She didn't move. And the air smelled like burnt metal. Then she turned to Lorne, standing behind her, hand resting on her shoulder. Her face didn't change. "She belongs here now," he said. The screen went black. We were no longer in the apartment. The windows were gone, the walls different, the floor colder. I turned to Jenna, but she was fading, her outline slipping away like smoke. Marcus yelled something, but it didn't reach me. Only Lorne did. "Welcome to the stream," and then I understood. It never ended. We didn't save her. We just stepped deeper, into something older than code, older than man. And now, we're what people watch. I still remember the cold that settled in the air when Marcus, Jenna, and I stepped back into Avery's apartment. It wasn't the same place anymore. The walls seemed to breathe, shifting subtly as if alive. I could barely trust my eyes, the familiar space twisted into something foreign. Avery's voice echoed somewhere just beyond the cracked silence. It wasn't her. Not really. I wanted to reach out, but my hands trembled too much. Jenna whispered about shadows moving where they shouldn't be, shapes that didn't belong. We scanned every corner, every dark nook, feeling watched without seeing anyone. Marcus found an old journal hidden beneath the floorboard. The handwriting was shaky but urgent. It spoke of a figure, Lorne, the man with the twisted face and those sharp teeth, who could slip between worlds, feeding off the blurred lines between reality and nightmare. The journal warned that once you see him in the stream, he can pull you in deeper, trapping you like a ghost in a mirror. The more I read, the heavier the room felt. I could hear faint whispers behind the walls, and every so often, that flicker of green eyes from the window reflection haunted me. We all felt it, an invisible weight pressing down, pushing us closer to something we weren't ready for. That night, the power cut out without warning. Jenna grabbed a candle, but the flame flickered, wildly as if frightened. We huddled together, listening. The walls creaked, groaned. Then a voice, soft but unmistakable, called my name. I froze. It was Avery, or what was left of her. Marcus tried to find the source, tracing the sound through the dark apartment. Suddenly, the candlelight revealed a hidden door in the closet, one none of us had noticed before. Jenna reached out, but stopped when the door swung open slowly, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward. I debated whether to follow or run, but something stronger pulled me forward. We descended into the cold, damp basement below, the air thick with the scent of dust and something else, something ancient. At the bottom, we found strange symbols drawn in ash, similar to those on Avery's phone timer. The basement walls glimmered, alive with whispers and shadowy figures shifting at the edge of our vision. Lorne's presence was undeniable. Then Avery appeared again, her face pale but calm, like a marionette caught on invisible strings. She looked at me and whispered, "You can't save me anymore." Fear and helplessness tangled inside me. Jenna grabbed my arm tightly, urging me to leave. Marcus kept murmuring about a way out, a way to break the cycle. But as we turned to go, the shadows thickened. The stairwell behind us disappeared into darkness. The apartment above faded like a memory slipping away. Time lost meaning. We wandered through spaces that didn't exist, trapped in a loop where past and present collided. Avery's voice haunted every corner, sometimes pleading, sometimes warning. Lorne's smile was there too, lurking just beyond the light, promising that none of us would ever truly escape. Days later, I woke alone on the apartment floor, sunlight filtering weakly through broken blinds. Jenna and Marcus were gone. Avery's phone lay beside me, screen cracked but still glowing with that red icon. I reached for it, the weight of the stream pressing down. Whatever happened, whatever pulled us in, it was far from over. I learned that night how thin the veil between worlds really is, how easy it is to slip through cracks in reality. And as I sit here now, writing this down, I wonder if someone somewhere is watching me, waiting for me to blink. All I know is the stream never ends, and neither do its shadows. The morning light felt strange as I opened my eyes. The apartment was quieter than usual, yet a faint hum lingered beneath the silence. Across the room, Marcus and Jenna sat close together, their faces tight with exhaustion and something unspoken. We all carried the weight of the night before, the feeling that we had crossed a line we could never erase. I glanced at the old journal Marcus had brought up from the basement. Its pages held more than warnings. They hinted at a hidden door between moments, where time folded onto itself like a twisted ribbon. That door wasn't just in the apartment. It followed us, slipping into dreams and flickers of light. Each time I closed my eyes, the same shadowed figure appeared, soft footsteps echoing behind me, a presence that neither Jenna nor Marcus could see. We tried to talk about it, to break the tension with casual conversations about work and weekend plans, but the normal words felt hollow. I caught Jenna staring at the cracked window, as if expecting it to change, to reveal some secret. Marcus was quieter, retreating deeper into himself, flipping the journal pages like searching for an answer that might never come. One evening, the power dipped again, and the room cooled suddenly. I was alone, or thought I was, when a knock came from the apartment next door. I hadn't seen anyone move in since the neighbors left weeks ago. The knocking was soft but persistent. I hesitated, then opened the door. No one was there, only a small envelope resting on the welcome mat. Inside, a photograph of us three standing in the hallway. But something was off. Our reflections in the glass showed different expressions, distant and unreadable. That night, the dream came back with sharper edges. I was running down a long corridor filled with mirrors, each reflecting fragments of places and faces I didn't recognize. At the end stood a woman with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Her voice was a whisper I could almost catch, telling me to be careful with what I wished to see. When I woke, Jenna and Marcus were gone again, leaving behind only the faint scent of rain and a single note that read, "Look for the door where the world bends." I wasn't sure if it was a warning or a promise. My mind spiraled, wondering if the boundary between what was real and what was imagined had finally given way. Days stretched into a haze. Every reflection became a question, every shadow a possibility. I found myself tracing patterns on the walls, hoping to discover the secret path, while the apartment seemed to pulse with a quiet energy, alive, waiting, shifting just out of reach. Then one afternoon, the mail arrived. Among the usual letters was a package with no return address. Inside lay a small antique key and a note saying sometimes the lock is inside your own mind. It was enough to send chills down my spine and push me toward a truth I was afraid to face. As I stand here now, writing these words, the boundary feels thinner than ever. The room breathes with secrets, and the faces in the glass watch, patient and knowing. Somewhere beyond the edges of this story, the door waits, silent but never locked. And maybe that is the real haunting, the feeling that what we fear most is not outside us but inside, where the shadows linger long after the lights go out. The air in the apartment shifted again that evening, heavier somehow, like it was holding its breath. I found myself pacing, trying to make sense of the strange patterns that had been unfolding. Emma and Lucas arrived unexpectedly, drawn here by stories they barely believed, but couldn't ignore. Their presence was a brief comfort, a reminder of normal life slipping in through the cracks. We gathered around the kitchen table, old cups of coffee cooling as we spoke in low voices. Emma, always the skeptic, insisted that the strange occurrences had a logical explanation. Lucas, more sensitive to the mood, mentioned feeling watched even when no one was there. I watched the shadows flicker in the corners, wondering if the apartment was listening. Later, as night deepened, the lights dimmed without warning and a cold draft swept through the hall. I was alone again, or so I thought, when a soft tapping came from the hallway mirror. I stepped closer, heart quickening, and saw my reflection distort for a moment, eyes darker, a faint smile that didn't belong to me. The mirror seemed to ripple, like water disturbed by an unseen stone. Suddenly, a voice called my name, quiet and urgent. I turned to find Lucas standing behind me, pale but steady. He held a small notebook he had found wedged between the floorboards, filled with cryptic drawings and phrases about gateways and unseen paths. We exchanged looks, the room shrinking around us with the weight of unspoken fears. The next days were a blur of whispered conversations and restless nights. Jenna returned briefly, her face drawn and distant. She spoke of dreams where the walls shifted and rooms led to places that weren't there before. Marcus appeared less certain, clutching the journal as if it were a lifeline. We were caught in a web of something neither fully understood nor controlled. One afternoon, Emma suggested exploring the building's history. We learned it was built over what used to be a forgotten garden, a place rumored to have been sacred to those who believed in crossing between worlds. The idea both fascinated and unsettled us. Could the apartment be a threshold, a place where reality bent? That night, a strange silence fell. The usual hum was gone, replaced by a thick stillness. I found myself drawn to the basement door, the same one Marcus had mentioned before. The key we found earlier fit perfectly. As the door creaked open, a faint glow spilled out, casting long shadows on the walls. We stepped inside, hearts pounding, unsure if we were stepping forward or falling deeper into the unknown. Inside, the air was cool and smelled faintly of earth and old wood. The walls seemed to breathe, alive with memories. We saw faint shapes flicker at the edges of vision, whispers that hovered just out of reach. The line between past and present blurred. I could feel something watching, not with eyes, but with intent. Back upstairs, the apartment felt emptier, colder. The others looked at me, their faces a mix of fear and determination. We had crossed a threshold, and there was no going back. I realized then that the stories, the warnings, the strange events, they were all part of something larger, a hidden truth wrapped in silence and shadows. Days later, the group began to drift apart. Emma left with a quiet goodbye. Lucas stayed longer but seemed to carry a weight that slowed him down. Jenna and Marcus disappeared without explanation. I was left alone with the echoes in the journal, its pages worn but full of unanswered questions. Now, when I look into the mirror, I sometimes catch a glimpse of something not quite mine. A presence that waits patiently, reminding me that some doors, once opened, never close. And in the quiet moments when the world seems still, I wonder if I'm the one watching or the one being watched. The days grew quieter after everyone left, but the silence felt heavier, like the apartment was holding on to secrets it hadn't shared yet. I kept the old journal close, flipping through its pages in the dim light, trying to find meaning in the strange symbols and notes. One afternoon, Mia and Gabriel stopped by. They had heard about the place and wanted to see it for themselves. Their curiosity felt genuine, like they were searching for answers too. We sat in the living room, voices low as Mia traced the sketches in the journal, her fingers trembling slightly. Gabriel glanced toward the hallway where the air always felt colder. He said he sensed a presence, something that didn't belong. I nodded, feeling the same unease creeping back inside me. It was as if the apartment breathed with a life of its own, and we were just visitors trapped inside its pulse. That night, the lights flickered again, casting long shadows that stretched across the walls. I found myself drawn toward the attic door, a place I had avoided until now. The wood was worn and cold beneath my fingertips. As I pushed it open, a soft glow spilled out, revealing old photographs scattered on the floor and a dusty music box sitting quietly in the corner. The air smelled faintly of lavender and something else I couldn't name. Mia joined me, her face pale but steady. We explored slowly, uncovering fragments of a story that felt both distant and too close. The photos showed a family smiling, but their eyes held a sadness that unsettled me. The music box played a gentle tune, but beneath it I thought I heard whispers, soft voices trying to tell me something important. Gabriel stayed downstairs, watching the hallway with tense eyes. Suddenly, the floorboards creaked loudly, breaking the quiet. He called out, but no one answered. The house seemed to shift, walls bending at the edges of vision. I felt a cold touch on my shoulder, light and fleeting, yet unmistakable. I turned quickly, but there was no one there. Over the next days, strange events piled up. Objects moved on their own, lights dimmed at random, and a faint humming filled empty rooms. I questioned my own mind, wondering if the apartment was unraveling me or if I was losing grip on reality. Mia and Gabriel stayed close, their presence a tether to what was real. One evening, we gathered in the kitchen, the journal open between us. Mia read aloud a passage about crossing thresholds and the power of forgotten places. The words resonated with the feelings that had been growing inside me, an urge to understand what lingered here and why it refused to leave. Gabriel suggested we try to find the origins of the house's strange energy. Our search led us to an old town archive, where we found records of a garden that once existed here, said to be a place where worlds overlapped. The idea that the apartment was a kind of doorway filled me with a mix of dread and fascination. Could the echoes we heard be voices from another time or place? That night, as I lay in bed, the music box's tune played softly in my mind. I felt the room around me pulse with unseen energy. The shadows moved just beyond sight, and I wondered if I was dreaming or caught between waking and sleep. A chill ran down my spine, but it wasn't fear. It was a strange kind of knowing. Days later, Mia and Gabriel left with a quiet understanding. The apartment remained, its secrets intact, but I was changed. The lines between what I saw and what I felt blurred. The journal lay closed now, but I knew it was only a matter of time before the whispers returned. Sometimes when I glance in the mirror, I catch a flicker of something that doesn't quite belong to me. A shadow, a shape, a presence that waits patiently in the edges of my vision. And I realize some stories don't end. They linger, like the fading notes of a song you can never forget.